I'll start again by welcoming everyone and thank you very much for joining us today. And I will introduce the panelists to you one by one. And I'll start with Maria from Uganda, Kampala. Thank you very much, Maria, for joining us today. Maria has been in business since she finished school, and she owns companies all running independently of each other, involved in agribusiness, international trade, procurement, and supplies. So quite a lot of diversity there. She's also in real estate, has served on the board of Uganda National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. She's a former chair of the Uganda Export Promotion Board, sits on various boards in private sector businesses, and is a founding alumni of the Africa Women Entrepreneurs, which is an initiative of the Secretary Hillary Clinton. She's quite an impressive profile, so welcome, Maria, to this discussion. We're very honored to have you. I will introduce Mercy from Tanzania. So Mercy is the CEO of Oasis Group dealing with agribusiness. It seems like we have two people in agribusiness here. And she also deals with textile and tertiary education and events management. She's the director of Rightway Schools with over 1,000 students. She has over 15 years of entrepreneurship and business management, and it has seen her grow her businesses and also mentor and coach others. She's confident, organized, helpful, caring, and intelligent. And she also works with banking and multinational companies. She has worked with banking and multinational companies as an officer and a human resource manager. She has a degree in finance and a master's in human resource management, and is very passionate about people development, service to humanity. Thank you very much for joining us, Mercy, and being part of this discussion.
Thank you, Vicky.
Next, you're very welcome. I will introduce Violette. Violette, are you having a problem with your mic? Okay, let me introduce you. So we have Violette Riungu, who's actually the founding director of Terracotta Moon Agency, who are the agency who help us run these webinars that we present to you every 2 weeks. And she calls herself the Grand Brand Builder. She's very passionate about building brands and very passionate about the space of digital communications. She started her career at UNEP, the UN Habitat, and she has worked at Popote Wireless and the 3 marketeers of the PMS group. She owns and also runs several business brands. She says the adrenaline to create and give employment is what drives her. Terracotta Moon is celebrating 10 years this year. We're very proud of them. And it has seen other brands develop, which is Shop and Drop, Studio Saizi, and the Mastery Talks. She's also the founder and secretary to the board of WIRE, which is Women in Real Estate, and owns Viva Nova, an investment company, and Nasaba Communications. She loves to mentor young people. Welcome, and thank you very much, Violette, for being here with us. And last but not least, the gentleman, the only gentleman in the panel. And I must say, very witty gentleman in the panel. He's been making us laugh for some time now. His name is Robert Yawe, and he is customer development startup coach and mentor at the IB's Africa, Strathmore University, and C4D Lab at the University of Nairobi. He's also a financial literacy coach with Quadrant Shift Africa, whose aim is to get more people to develop passive income and by extension, make them patient and knowledgeable investors. I like the word make them patient, because sometimes we all want to get rich like right now. Thank you very much, Robert, for joining us. We're honored to have you. Okay, so without further ado, I will start this session by directing, or rather talking about giving an introduction on what emotional intelligence is. And we talk about emotional intelligence as the ability to perceive, understand, work with our emotions to be able to influence our decisions and those of others. When we talk about emotional intelligence, we are looking at how self-aware are people, how aware are they of other people, how do they appear to everyone else so that they're able to become a positive influence to those around them. We also want to see that people are able to manage their emotions and those of others to be able to develop more resilient environments, and more so resilience in both themselves and the people around them. So with this in mind, we set the conversation going as to why emotional intelligence is foundational to entrepreneurship. And the purpose of this talk is to explore the journeys that entrepreneurs go through and see if we can shed more light into what are those things that make the most successful entrepreneurs be able to break through and thrive, even with in climates such as this one. And so my first question will go to Mercy. Mercy, all the way in Dar es Salaam. You've been on this journey for a while, Mercy. Hi, reading your profile and seeing that you're also a mentor of young people and that you own at least an educational institute. You've been in this journey for a while. I think you said 15 years. So what can you say is very characteristic of your entrepreneurial journey? And what things have you found have been foundational for your growth?
Thank you so much, Vicky. Hi again, everyone. Vicky has rightly introduced me, and maybe I could just say something about my background. I've been an entrepreneur so 14 years now, and it has been a rewarding journey. And there have been a number of things. I will just talk about 5 that I think they've been characteristic of, why I've been able to stay in entrepreneurship this long. And one of them is I decided, or maybe, I don't know for others, but for me it has worked, that my growth would be progressive. That is, I wanted to grow organically. So I grew slowly. And this gave me time to learn, understand, mentor my team, as well as take one step at a time. So for me, for example, for the school, my customer loyalty is what has seen me through. And my means of marketing has been word of mouth. I know it doesn't work for everyone, especially in the social world we are in today. But for me, it has worked. So I would say that emotionally dealing with people, that is what has seen me grow. That has been my first characteristic. But the other one is my team. I have been able to, when you were reading my profile, you said that I also have a master's in human resource management. And this is one of areas that I am very proud of, because now I've used that skill to mentor and grow my team. And when the biggest thing for me is the selection process. I think Vicky, Zuhra is also in HR. And other people who are in HR would understand that if you select people carefully and you make sure that you have people who can work together in a team, who can have a nice togetherness. So team selection is very important. And for me, that has worked. And after team selection, the next is empowerment. Now you have to train, you have to grow these people, and you have to make sure that they understand your vision and where the company that you're building is going. The other one is perseverance. Obviously, you need to be creative. You need to be hardworking. For you to be able to stay in entrepreneurship. It's not easy. There's a lot of ups and downs. So for people to be successful in entrepreneurship, they need to persevere. They need to be there, they need to work hard, and they need to be creative. And the other one is self-development. I believe that every day is a learning process, and every minute is a learning process, and people should learn. So for me, book reading is paramount and is important. I spend at least half an hour every day to read a book. Also networking. Networking is important, and you need to network with different kinds or groups of people so that you can get different things. So for me, I have a lot of networks, different social networks, professional network, you name it, I'm there. And the other one is continuous learning. I love learning. For me, and especially during this lockdown, there have been a lot of free webinars, and I've attended as many as I could. Yeah. And I could tell you I've learned a thing or two about a lot of things. And most of them were discussing how to survive post-COVID-19. And there's a lot of strategies that were thrown in those webinars that have helped me when I went back to my business. And the last one is discipline. Now here we talk about two kinds of discipline. First of all is financial discipline. Most entrepreneurs, they don't have financial discipline. You think that every money that comes in your business is the money for you to spend. So we need to have financial discipline, but also work discipline. And these are the things that I would say they've seen me through the 15 years that I've been in business.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. I think that was pretty impressive. Financial discipline, learning has struck me, taking every single opportunity to learn, networking, all sorts of networks. I think I read somewhere that people who have diverse networks, not just one kind, tend to grow more than people with just one particular type of network. And I had you mentioning social networks, all these networks, empowerment and selection of the people that work for you as being important to you. And building on what Mercy has said, Violette, what can you say about your own entrepreneurial journey? What has stood out for you in your entrepreneurial journey? Violette? Okay, I think we can hear.
I think she has not, she's muted her mic.
Okay. I think as Violette is sorting out that issue, Maria, looking back, what can you say has been the hardest part of this journey for you, or even building on Mercy? What can you say you've encountered that has been a challenge, quite a challenge for you on this journey?
Vicky, as my profile said, I've never been employed. I went into business right from high school, after my high school. Now, my journey has been a very interesting one. I decided long ago that I wanted to go into areas that were extremely challenging. Times have changed now. Women in business are more recognized now than, in the time when I was entering business. So what I can say is that there were a lot of instances that defined the way I look at things today. I remember when I first went into business, the way I dressed, you walk into an office and the reception in the office from the person you're talking to is totally different from what you're doing there. And I'll just tell you a little story of what happened one time. As I said, I'm in procurement and supplies. And I used to supply to a lot of, classified stuff to Ministry of Defense. And I walked into this general's office. And in those days, I used to wear skirts, little, the way young people dress, skirts and and he looked me up and down. And we had a chat, and then of course he asked me out, and a few times I avoided. And then I thought I needed to change this. So I used to have long hair. So I shaved off my hair. I bought myself suits, men's suits, and I stopped wearing earrings. I had on little studs. And then I went, at the next meeting, I walked into his office, and he looked me up and down, and he said to me, he laughed, and he said to me, "So you think you're hiding?" And he said to me, "Maria, less is more." And we looked at each other, and we both burst out laughing. But it taught me, you know, I drew a lesson from that, because I thought to myself, I needed to get these men to focus on my brain and not my body. Mm-hmm. It was the beginning of my journey to self-awareness. Mm-hmm. And as I've grown in that journey, I developed a way of really self-reflection, of understanding what my strengths and my weaknesses were. I also learned that if I was going to continue in the field that I work in, which is mainly dealing with men, I needed to learn how they think, how they network, how they do their business, how they speak, mm-hmm. how they negotiate, mm-hmm. because that was the way I was going to capture what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And in doing that, I learned to talk less and listen more. Unfortunately, alongside that, I also learned to tell a lot of men jokes rather than so that is why sometimes when people are cracking jokes, I keep quiet, because the kind of jokes that go through my mind are the kind of jokes you tell in the presence of men, and not where they are nice ladies. But I've also learned that I've learned not to be afraid to really, really acknowledge who I am. And I'll just give you one example. I was at one time one of the only women who owned an insurance company in Uganda. And I didn't know anything about insurance. And I have this habit of jumping in the deep end and then making sure that I swim to the shallow end. There are times when I've needed a lifesaver and there's been no lifesaver around, and therefore I've had to make sure that I can breathe until I can get to where I can get out. But because of the way that insurance company was going, we were at the time 29 insurance companies when I entered into it. By the time I decided to close it, and it was deliberate, a deliberate intention to close it, I was number 11. But I was bleeding money, and I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do. So before I closed it, I called some auditors to carry out an audit on my company. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Mm-hmm. Because the questions that they were asking me made me feel like I was a thief in my own company. And I remember going home, and as I was driving home, I kept thinking, what the hell do these people think I am? How dare they think I can steal from my own company? But in doing that, I acknowledged one thing, that I had the power to be able to look myself in the mirror and see the cracks and repair those cracks. For me, that was one of the most insightful things, and it has helped me to build a very strong character. And today, there's nothing that defeats me, nothing. So that's me.
Wow, quite interesting. I think it's been a very interesting share.
But Vicky, there's one thing you forgot. I'm also the honorary consul of Botswana in Uganda.
Oh, I forgot that. My bad. Yes, I remember when I met Maria, I was asking her, are you Botswana? No, it wasn't me, it was Robert asking, are you Botswana? Or are you Uganda?
You know, but women from Botswana are so beautiful. Maybe Robert was getting ready to propose.
They're the jokes.
Moving on.
Thank you very much, Maria, for sharing. I think we have really enjoyed it. It must be really hard to close a company. I mean, any company, and it must be even harder.
It's very hard. I had to get my staff together and explain to them the reason why I had decided to close that company. And it also helped me to build, to develop empathy for other people, because I had to give notice of 6 months, and within that 6 months, I had to continue to pay them. I must say that I had very loyal, very good staff. And it also taught me that when the fat lady sings, recognize it and walk away. But that didn't mean I was giving up. I don't give up. Not until I recognize that it's the end. Yes.
Okay, I think you are preparing yourself for another battle.
Yes, which did come in the end, but that's for another day. Carry on with the others. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Maria. Yes. Violette, are you with us now?
Yes, Vicky, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Violette.
Fantastic. Technology.
Technology.
But you always have a plan B, plan C, plan D.
And that's the entrepreneurial journey there, isn't it?
And that's entrepreneurial journey there, yes.
So here, building on what Mercy and Maria have talked about, what can you say about your entrepreneurial journey? And
wow. Let me tell you, it's been grit. I'll tell you, you just need a lot of resilience to run a business and to pursue a dream and ensure that the dream is not necessarily a dream. So this is what basically my matrix for entrepreneurship. This is what has made me be able to run my business and Terracotta Moon, especially for the last 10 years. I like to call them my C's. C, the letter C. So it's been a lot of courage. It's been a lot of confidence, a lot of conviction, a lot of creativity, continuous learning. Just like Maria said, you have to read, otherwise you'll get caught out and flat-footed when trends are changing. A lot of care. The customer is king. I always tell my team that a complaining customer is a good customer, because it means that they care and they want you to improve on something. So instead of cowing back, ask them, what is it that you want me to help you with? And then you go and figure it out. Cash, you need cash. And that's the reason why you open a business. So you want cash as well. And then your colleagues. We're setting up a team of trusty people. And I found that I look for a particular type of person when I'm with my team. I look for people who think like me. I look for people who are thinking like an entrepreneur. They want to look for a solution. I mean, they want to find a problem out there and find a solution. So we are a team. We are basically a creative agency, and there's a lot of creativity and there's a lot of thinking around the kind of solutions that we offer clients. So you need a team that sort of thinks in a very creative and solution-oriented way, as opposed to, sort of like people who just want to do a job. You're looking at people who want to grow skills. And I found that my team is very willing to learn. just like yourself, if you're the entrepreneur, you're also willing to learn. So they're basically a mirror image of who you are. And just like somebody said the other day, that entrepreneurs don't need an injection for resilience. It's a lot of adrenaline when you're running a business. You have to look for ways in which you can ensure that you're still up running, because failure for an entrepreneur is a no-no. You will not want to fail. So what happens is that you look for support structures. Very, very important. So for instance, I have segmented my relationships into various sections. So I have what I call my social friends. So when I go to my social friends, I don't want to talk about work. I don't want to talk about biashara. I just want to unwind and have a good time with them. You know, just get into a space of nothing and just find out how people are doing, and you just share, you know, life with them and not necessarily what your pain points are. And you unwind, and in those social settings, you find that you're able to find solutions to a problem as you're conversing with people. So networking is very important. Having a strong social cushion is very important. Then I have what I call business friends. And I find I've spent a lot of time with this type of people because they're constantly telling you what their challenges are with the businesses that they're running or at their workplace. And then you're listening out for where the opportunities are. So you have to also be a little bit smart when you become an entrepreneur, that you have a very good ear to listen and say, aha, I think I can help you out with this, or I can point you out to this place so that you can find a solution. And then what I've also found is that I've also ended up joining a lot of networking organizations and also volunteering a lot, because you cannot find business while you're sitting in one place. You have to move around a lot and ask people to help you out. So one of the things that I've learned over time, over the last 25 or so years that I've worked professionally, is that I'm not afraid to ask, and I'm not afraid of being told no. Because if you don't ask, the opportunity doesn't come. But if you ask, you'll always find, and this is very, very important, that you find that a lot of people are willing to help, but only if you ask, and if you ask correctly. So also fine-tuning your communication skills is something that I've also learned with time. Learning even how to sell is something that is so integral in an entrepreneur's life. You are the principal salesperson, and you're the one who's bringing in the business, and you're the one you wear so many hats. And at some point you have to tell yourself, okay, fine, now I think I need to get on board a new team. I need to empower people so that I can think more strategically. And the whole purpose of opening a business for me or running a business for me is nothing else, not just about the money, but I just find a lot of joy in providing opportunities for my team to earn a living. In fact, for me, that's what drives me. Just seeing that I have made an impact in my team's work. And primarily with Africans, you find that one person is taking care of so many people. So you feel like you've created such a big impact in people's lives, and they remember you for helping them out or showing them ways that they never thought that they had. And you actually realize that you have so much knowledge on how to survive because of this thing I was calling, and like I said, an entrepreneur does not need an injection for resilience. So we are quite resilient. I've also learned something like that trust takes time. You don't meet a new prospect today and expect that it's going to turn around. I have found myself even negotiating for business opportunities for as long as even 4 years. So giving up is something that an entrepreneur is not something that an entrepreneur must embrace. But of course, you also get to learn skills on how to see what we call a cold call, or you're not going to get anything out of it. And especially when you're selling services, what you're actually selling all the time doing is upselling value to your customers. So it's been a mixed bag. I let out my emotions when I'm not feeling, when I'm feeling down. When I'm happy, I let people know that I'm happy. So also expressing your challenges, I found, is not something I shy away from anymore. I say it is okay to be human, and it is okay to say I have been defeated here. And this is why I say your network. You fall back onto your network and the people that support you, and you find that there are always people who are willing to lend you a helping hand. So for those who want to get into an entrepreneurial journey, I'm just going to say it's not easy. You really have to start learning from scratch. There's no school on entrepreneurship. You learn on the job. Some days you will be so down, and some days when the victories come, and I'll promise you that the victories are more than the down times. So there's a lot of, you learn how to, what we say, kushikilia roho. You learn how to shikilia your roho. When you're an entrepreneur, you learn how to cry hard, laugh hard, celebrate hard, because I can tell you it's lots of sleepless nights. So if you like to sleep, it is not the place for people who don't want to get up and really get their hands dirty. But at the end of the day, absolutely rewarding. Absolutely rewarding. I have absolutely no regrets.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Violette. I keep hearing almost the same words from you, Maria, Mercy, which is listen. I've learned to listen. Maria said she learned to listen and tell jokes. Mercy said she learned also to listen. The other thing I've had is I have the need to keep learning, to keep immersing yourself in and understanding your environment.
Yeah.
Robert, you've been on both sides. You both as an entrepreneur and both as a coach for people on that entrepreneurial journey, either startups or just people running their own businesses. What do you have to say? What can you add?
Okay. Actually, I think I'll start off with saying thank you very much to Maria on behalf of all the men on earth. Thank you for being empathetic. I remember we had something going around called, was it My Dress, My Choice? Or My Choice, My Dress? My Body, My... Who remembers what it was?
My Body, My Choice.
My Dress, My Choice.
It was My Dress, My Choice.
All right.
Yes.
And that just tells you how unempathetic women can be. Maria, thank you very much for saving the general from himself, as well as millions of other men. And seriously, as women, I think EQ is very important to make sure that one, your careers and your businesses can grow, because once you understand that men have certain weaknesses that are inherent, when you break an X chromosome, it becomes a faulty X, and we call it a Y. and part of that can be found somewhere. And so thank you very much, Maria. And I can assure you, many men who are on this call are saying thank you very much. And I wish we could hear more of you and that. It's actually very interesting because this is the second time I'm hearing that, where a lady realized that if she walked in too provocative physically, it affected how the men responded. There's a CEO of, I think it's called, one of the banking associations in Kenya. And she said the same thing happened. She was a consultant. She was a management consultant. But she noticed that every time she would walk into a room, all the men got distracted. And from there on, it was almost impossible to get her point across. And she did exactly the same thing. She started wearing slightly oversized suits. And soon after that, suddenly she would walk into the room and should be accepted as one of the boys. I know there's a lot that is said out there that no, men should learn to overcome this. But at the end of the day, we need to remember we are animals, and we're here for one and only one task, is to procreate.
Oh, come on, Robert.
and the minute that becomes clear,
you can't make it that basic. You can't make it that basic.
It is that basic. And I'll tell you, and let's not lie about it.
I like your honesty, Robert.
Well, Maria, yesterday you lied that you're not very revealing. Now then you come in and the first thing you do is say what you say. You set me up. And I take it personally now. So I might just have no choice but to travel to Kampala and see you, and we sort this out one-on-one. So down to Something else I'd say that Maria's brought up, which is very critical, especially in the startup space. Like was said, I mainly work with early stage startups, and I've done this for almost 15, 20 years, even before it was hip. You know, nowadays it's the in thing. I was doing it when it was not the in thing. But because I felt I had a certain number of years of experience in business, and I thought I could share it. And I noted that there were younger people who wanted to go into business. And most of the time they'll be struggling with a problem which looked extremely big, but was usually a very small problem when somebody with experience looked at the same scenario. And one thing that has come up, and I think what, again, Maria said was, she realized that the business was hemorrhaging. And she decided it's time to shut it down. Unfortunately, most of us Africans, we don't know how to kill our businesses. We tend to move them into life support. Most of the startups who get maybe I think they keep saying it's a misfortune of standing in front of me to pitch, is I give them the truth, the reality on the ground. If you come and you tell me you're trying to compete with Safaricom, let's stop wasting our time. If you come and tell me you're trying to come up with a new M-Pesa, I tell you stop wasting your time. Airtel is 10 times bigger than Vodafone, and they've been unable to fight that war. So I doubt you coming up with anything new. And that is what most of our early stage businesses and even our later stage businesses. We have businesses which are 30 years and they died 29 years ago. But the owners keep putting them on life support. They keep infusing into them and they keep wondering why this thing is not taking off, because it's dead. What I normally say, because most of where I work is in incubators, and I say there's one thing. It doesn't matter how much time you incubate a boiled egg, it'll never hatch.
It'll never hatch.
So for those of you in agri-tech, you understand. Now, what we've been doing in this part of the world, especially in Kenya, is we have been trying to incubate boiled eggs and then wondering why they're not hatching. And I keep saying, all we need to do is let's peel the egg, make a sandwich and move on. And that's what I try to do with early stage businesses, is get them to understand that you must be solving a problem that has the potential to grow. Solving a problem which has 20 people with it, don't start a business. Do it as a CSR activity, do it on the side. Like I say, I got caught up with somebody called Steve Blank. Steve Blank is the true father of the lean startup methodology. And what he did is he turned the process of a startup into a science. It's not an art. The part of identifying whether a problem exists is a science. That's why when you go to the doctor with a swollen foot, what they tell you is, go have an X-ray. And when you come back, there's a crack and we know what to do. Now, most of our businesses, our early stage startups don't take that part of it. And I think, like what you're saying, it's about self-awareness and understanding also. First is there really a problem big enough worth solving? Secondly, who has the problem? Thirdly, does the person know they have the problem? Because if they don't know they have the problem, stop wasting your time trying to fix it. Fourthly, will they pay you to fix the problem? Now, you all know that none of us have even sized feet. All of us, our feet are different. So that means that's a 7 billion market. There are 7 billion people on earth, all of them with mismatched feet. Has anybody tried to come up with a shoe shop that sells mismatched shoes? Anyone who's come across one? Maybe those of you who've traveled a lot, maybe somewhere in Timbuktu or somewhere, there's somebody who allows you to buy a size 6 left foot and a size 6.5 right foot. No one does it. It's a huge market. Everybody suffers from the problem, but no one will pay you a penny more to fix the problem. You all know how to fix it, isn't it? You already know that you'd rather have your left foot suffer. So you'll match your right foot. So you like your right foot comfortable, your left foot can suffer. Others is the other way around. So it's a problem we all know. We live with it. Some of you will pad your shoes. Others will wear 2 extra stockings on one foot. So the people have already solved the problem. And I think in the startup space for us, that's what is not being told. All we are doing is patting people on the back and telling them, you've got a great idea, go out and try and solve it. And Maria and Violette, I think we need to get more of you speaking to the startups.
Yeah.
And just tell them the facts. Don't sugarcoat it. No?
Yes.
Maria, you tell the lady, please don't show up with a skirt which is halfway up between your knees and your hips, because the man will keep saying yes, 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 but they'll not be hearing anything that you say. Okay? Violette said something very powerful, which was ask and you shall receive. At Strathmore, for example, we're about 30 mentors. But we have to go chasing startups.
Wow.
Really?
They rarely reach out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Most of the people who reach out are startups that are run by people who are more mature. People 35, 40. I currently mentor somebody who is 60. He's going into retirement for the second time. And he's trying to find what to do with his life. Because like I keep telling him, 60 is the new 30. So this
true.
is coming to tell me that you're waiting for your final check so you can go home and do more. His mother is 90.
Yes.
And she wakes up every day and goes to the shamba. So for me, I think what this is going to do mostly is getting to listen to people with 15 years, 20 years, 30 years of experience, telling it as it is. Business can take 4 months to come through. Business can take 4 years to come through. But you don't stop talking to the prospect. You don't ignore the prospect. You work on the prospect until there's a synchronization whereby your offering and their need mesh. And until that situation happens, there's no business. And just to close, it's self-awareness is very important. It's shocking that when you go and get employed, you're taken through and you're made to do an IQ test, an EQ test. We need to do the same with startups. We need to do the same with people going into business. Because if generally you can't take pressure, don't go into business. That's what banks should do before they give you a loan. Should actually check your emotional intelligence, because you need to be able to know that business is horrible, and you walk to the bank manager and you say, I'm not meeting my repayment this month. And not avoiding their calls. You need to be able to have that resilience. And many of us don't have it. And I think the time we start to accept it, then we'll have businesses that can prosper. When we start accepting that I am now the biggest problem in the business and it's time for me to leave, then we'll get businesses which can scale. But so long as we say you're the brightest person in the boardroom, there's nowhere that business is going.
I love that.
Wow. Thank you, Robert. What you said about a need and what you're offering meshing is reminds me of something someone told me once, and they said, well, they were also in business. They said, for me, a prospect never leaves my book. You're a prospect until you either buy or you die. That's the only time you leave my book. So, and that I think largely defines why I think everyone in this panel is talking about networking and meeting people and talking to people, because business comes through people. Ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door shall be opened. I just want to ask this question to anyone, and at least either to Mercy, maybe I can start with Mercy. Was there ever a defining moment for you where you felt that this was it for you? I think for Maria, it was pretty much when she left school. I just think so. But feel free to share, Maria, or Robert, or Val.
Yes.
For me, Vicky,
yeah.
For me, Vicky, I think, no, there have been several, but I would, the recent one, the COVID-19 lockdown, I would say has been my most trying time in my business career yet. And the government announced that all schools, now I own a school, shall be closed. And this announcement came at night. So we had no warning, nothing. And the closure was supposed to last for, we didn't even know for how long. We didn't know how long the COVID-19 situation will last.
Yeah.
So for schools, as much as it's a private school, we do service to the community still, and we charge parents, but not a big amount of money that you can say that we can keep, we have a reserve or something like that. And I have hired 100 employees who has, the multiply effect. Imagine their wives and husbands and kids, grandmothers and mothers and whoever. And as an employer, you become empathy to these people and start thinking, what am I going to do with all these people? And now you start thinking, I don't have another business to support this one, like diversification or anything like that. How am I going to keep food on the plates of all these people? And that was, for me, it was a trying time, and we had to think quickly, and I had to summon all my team together and say, okay, so what are we going to do? There are two things we need to consider. One, we need to continue the learning of our pupils at home. And secondly, we need to consider how are we going to survive during this time, and we don't know how long this time is going to be. And we need to keep food on our plates. Yeah. So we came up with a online learning, and this was the first time we didn't have anything, it's like, okay, we can do online for our pupils, and we can charge a little bit, parents could contribute, but we can also have food on our plates. So for me, that was, now, my most learning maybe, or all of my team, was that change can come at any time.
Yeah.
And as people, as business people, we need to know that situations can change. And we need to, first of all, embrace change. But on top of that, we need to be creative and think strategically on how we can move on. And now everybody's looking at you as a business owner for solutions. They look at you for miracles, and you're sitting there and you're like, but we are in this thing together, and everybody's like, we don't know. You are the boss.
Yes.
So for me, from all that, I started to think about diversification. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So as I come out of that and all this lockdown period, I sat down and started thinking, what else can we do so that we can mitigate such situations in the future?
Okay. Anyone else like to share?
Yes, I would like to. Yes, I would. I would actually. Oh, I'm burning. Ooh. Now COVID happened, And then I learned that everyone has a plan until you get hit. So, in the face. Then here I have my team, and you're like a mother. When you're at our length of experience, you sort of take on a mothering role. And I am worried, and I can see they are worried, and everybody's worried. So nobody, and then I calmed down, then I told myself, oh, by the way, no one has ever lived through a pandemic. So we are all in this together. Nobody's an expert on a pandemic, epidemic, or whatever it was being called. No. So I sort of relaxed, And then I did what I do best. I started asking for help. Now, what did I do? I hired the services of a human resources consultant, because I realized no matter how many pep talks, they also needed to give me a pep talk. So we needed to get into a space where we were being soothed by somebody who was telling us, don't worry, you're going to be all right. Because that was it. How do you survive? You've got to assure people that you're going to be all right. And in as much as I say it, they'll most likely look at me like, huh, really? So when people have noticed, when your team listens to advice from a third party, they sort of like, you know, a new voice coming in gives a little bit of hope and structure. So we have found ourselves actually restructuring. I think COVID has come with this pandemic has come with a lot of blessings more than bad times. We have actually found ourselves actually more busy now. And we like to joke with the team. We tell them, hey, we have become essential services. Because what has happened is that now most businesses want to digitize their marketing and communications presence. And we have found ourselves creating more content now and actually onboarding the people who are skeptical about what does this social media do? What does this, look at us, we're meeting on a social media platform right now. That's and right. People take these things for granted, but everything is a science. Anytime you want to do something, you must plan for it so that the message reaches your end consumer very, very clearly. And that then they can reach into their pocket and purchase your service or goods. So I think this pandemic has taught us to be a little bit, now we all know where our shock absorbers are. And one of the other things that I've done is I've found myself now, I've taken up crocheting. I'm crocheting a lot. And the other day I made a blanket and I took a photograph and I shared it with my team. And they started making orders. Then I shared it with the groups that I share, you know, professional groups, social groups. And everybody started making an order. Everyone wanted a little throw. And now I think there's an akabiashara that's going to take off over there because of my crocheting skills. In other words, what I'm saying, you just can't sit down and do nothing. You have to do something. You know, if we all sit down to shike tama and then we tell ourselves, oh, sasa dunia imeisha, I have just found that have been and we've had wonderful conversations with my team. And I can tell you the kind of support that we're giving each other at this time is unbelievable. In fact, we've been telling ourselves that had COVID not happened, we would not have been as close as we were. We would not have been as solution oriented as we are right now. We are such a close team. Even though we are working virtually, I can feel the hugs and the support wherever. We check on each other. We structured ourselves. We've gotten used to working from home. You know, the 21-day habit happened. Everyone was frazzled, wondering what they're going to do. How is this thing going to work? Everybody thought the world was going to come to an end. I think Derek Banga was asking, the other day made a point of saying, is it an apocalypse? Dunia inaisha, you know, kind of thing. How are you coping? How is it working from home? New normal, you know, the little tag words that we're, and I found myself telling some people 2 months ago, me, I've gotten used to it. You either shape up or shape out. Sasa tutafanya nini? This is the world that we are living in. So we all checked ourselves. We realized that there was no COVID. And here we are. Tume survive. Na tuta survive. Yes.
Yeah. I hear you. I think I'll order a blanket. Maria, you wanted to say something?
Well, you know, me, I'm a bit old school. Huh? My kids are the ones who drag me kicking and screaming into the new age of technology. But there's something I've realized. New school, old school, the fundamentals of business remain the same. One thing we need to understand, whether you're a startup, mainstream, corporation, conglomerate, there are certain aspects of business that we need to embrace and to understand. Business takes planning. I've always said to my staff, I don't do business for short term. I do business for long term. And the companies that I own must outlive me. I need to be part of their history. They shouldn't be dying with me. And for my companies to survive me, I need to be able to have some proper plan in place. And I'm not talking about 6 month, 1 year planning. I'm talking about understanding where your company is going to be 5 years from now. Sometimes you may start doing business in one direction, but I've learned over time that flexibility in business is critical, because you may start in one direction and find yourself drawn in another. But the important thing is that the business must have its own brand and must continue to grow and must be bigger than you. You cannot be your business, because when you do register a business, it's a separate entity from you, and therefore it must be treated as a separate entity. The other thing I learned, and I learned the very hard way, is not to do business with my heart, but rather with my head. There's one of my businesses that I did out with great passion, enormous passion. And it took me in a direction that landed me in places that, where you really need, what they say, baptism through fire. What I learned from that is that when I restarted, when I started the recovery process, I learned that it's very important to understand that business are matters of the head. As Robert said, there's a lot of science that goes into it. Leave your heart matters to your family, your husband, your wife, your spouse, whoever it is. When you're in business, it's your head, not your heart. There's one thing, though, I'll also say, and again, it goes to women in business. One of the afflictions women have in business is people look at women in business and they look at you as a soft touch. And sometimes somebody will come and say to you, but mommy, but now you're not talking like a mother. I've had to tell people, my friend, I'm not your mother. You left your mother at home. You're in my office to do business. So while I'm empathetic to people, I'm also a business person. And I'm very firm in my business decisions. I'm not there to feed you. I'm there to pay you for a job done. And you don't do it, you don't get paid. End of. Because at the end of the day, the work you give me is what will keep the business going. If I don't deliver, if we do not deliver to clients, then how do I pay you? So please, I'm not your mother. Okay, but so the characteristic of a business person is not. It's not. How do I say? It's not straightforward. Sometimes I forget. You don't mean I didn't go to university, so my language is very narrow.
Very businesslike.
Yes. It can be. You have to have certain complicated ways of understanding everybody who walks into your circle, and read them and understand them and know how to talk to them and know how to deal with them. But yes, those are some of the things I've learned in my journey as an entrepreneur.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, business is not for the heart. I think for me, that's my biggest takeaway. And maybe also that's an affliction. I don't know if that's an affliction for women, Robert. Maybe you'll tell me that sometimes we get into things, we mask ourselves, everything, our whole heart, the head is left in the house. Maybe that's, I'm dealing with a spouse in a very matter-of-fact way, and then I come to the business end, my heart is all there. Over to you, Robert.
For me, what I would say is, I think I mentioned it yesterday when we did the preview, the brief, and I got fired 5 times. I've been fired from employment 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And until the 5th time, I kept blaming whoever fired me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm the perfect employee.
Yeah.
Yes, so why would you want to fire me?
Mm-hmm.
So by the 5th time, I asked myself, what's the common denominator between these 5 occurrences? And I realized I was a common denominator.
Yeah.
Because my 5 employers, it was not the same employer who fired me 5 times. It was 5 different employers who fired me.
Mm.
And so at that point is when I realized maybe I do not have what it takes to be employed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stopped updating my CV. I stopped trying to think of whether to go back to school, because that's what I know most people do. You decide, no, maybe I didn't have enough papers. I need to go back and study something new.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came across something called the E-Myth Revisited. Small little book, you can read it through one evening.
Mm-hmm.
And what it says is it's called entrepreneurial myth. It is always assumed that most of us go into business intentionally.
Mm.
Most of us go into business because something else didn't work out. I initially went into business because I kept getting fired. So I never really planned to go into business. Again, Maria, you said it, at least for you, you started off intentionally knowing you want to go into business. Try listening to a parent respond to a child who says, after school, I want to go into business. And I can tell you that will be the greatest fight that family has ever had. As they try to get that child to unlearn. Yet you'll find that in that homestead, both parents are in business. So the only thing the child has seen is people in business.
Yes.
And then when they say, I want to go into business, suddenly there's total pandemonium in the home. The thing called you must be your mother's child. You know. And you're thinking, seriously, all you've exposed the child to is that. Now, this is a child.
Robert, can I just interrupt you?
Yes.
If you don't mind, for 1 minute. I went into business because when I left school, I was employed for 3 days, and after 3 days I was fired. I was fired because when I walked into the assignment room where I was supposed to start my business, it was an old Muzungu man, a surveyor, and he had, I thought I was old school, but that man was old school. He had files all over him.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, how the hell do you find anything in this place? And I decided to reorganize the place. And unfortunately, when I finished, the man couldn't find anything. So he said, look, I didn't ask for some silly young girl to come here and tell me how to run my business. You go, I will call you when I'm ready. And I walked out and I thought, I do not want to be answerable to anybody. I want to be answerable to me. That's when I went to business.
Was he ever ready for you? Or he died before he got ready?
Robert, that's a joke between you and I. Let the lady.
Oh God, great conversations. I think this must be one of the...
Moving on. Let's move.
So Maria, you see, and again, like you say, that one, the experience you had was, and you looked at it and said, I do not want to sit in an office with files all over me, being the only person who knows the direction this organization is going. And that could also explain why you're already thinking of the business outliving you.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, it most likely because it happened young. And I think that's what we need to tell people going into business now. If you don't make the mental effort to a mental decision that this business is independent of me and it must outlive me, you're not going to do it at 50. You're not going to do it at 60. You'll fight, and go down with your business. And that's what happens with most of our businesses. You hear of somebody's business, oh, he's doing extremely well. He's got 5,000 employees. Then you wait. And I say the true test of whether you have systems is 6 months after you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And we can already see people who we bragged about being great businessmen, where are their businesses today after they died? They've died with them. So what we need to start doing is basically digging 2 graves. Whenever some of these people die, is one for their person's body, and the next one waiting for the business to also come and get buried. So what they said is that, so what the entrepreneurial myth does, it says people do not go into business intentionally. 90%. It's not a Kenyan problem. It's not a Ugandan problem. It's not a Tanzanian problem. It's a global problem. You get fired, you start a business. You look for a work you can't get, you get to business. Your boss annoys you. You decide, I'm the one who brings most of the business here. You go off and start a business. And then what are you? You're a technician trying to run a business. And then you never ask, what are my weaknesses? I might be brilliant at fixing an engine, but I could be the most horrible finance person on earth. But for many of us, you still want to try and do everything instead of asking yourself, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And I'll disagree with some of the things some of you have said, where you're saying you're trying to learn as you go ahead. But I think the best thing that a business person needs to learn is what is not your strong point. And then learn how to find the person who that is their strong point and then can fit into the team. The best coaches in football were never great players.
That is true.
The reason that happens is because the best player believes he knows it all. And they can't coach.
Yeah.
I recently had a startup founder who told me, I'm nothing more than a theorist, because they've only seen me on campus and they didn't know that on the other side, I actually do run a business. And I said, the problem is you don't listen to me because of who I am. You listen to people because of what titles they come with. And I said, there's one thing that you cannot tell me somebody can do better than me. And if it's you telling me that the employed CEO of an organization can give you better advice on how to run a startup than I can. And that happens. And we keep making that mistake, taking startups and putting them in front of employees and expecting that those employees can give them direction. It doesn't work. I think, Violette, you said it, you have a network of people who you sit down with and you discuss business and nothing else. You have a group who you sit down with and you discuss social. You can cry all you want, you bear your heart out, and when you're done, you walk into the other meeting and you're as cold as ice. No, it's a simple issue.
Yes,
He shows up late. He's a nuisance in the office. You call him into the office and you say, Robert, pick your things.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Yes, and if I say, oh, but mama, then like Maria says, I'm not your mother. Get the hell out of my business. I'm not here to baby you. If you're 30 years and you're still getting babied, I think there's a problem elsewhere with a different woman. Not it. And I think that's what we are lacking. And once we start making those solid decisions and accepting, I'm not good in finance, what do I need? Do I need a partner who is good in finance? Or do I need to employ somebody who is good in it? I'm horrible with people. Do I need to deal with human beings? And there is a way for you to still own your business and not have to deal with people.
Yeah.
But know yourself first.
Yeah.
Before you go out. And I think that is what needs to keep going out to people who are in business. That's why you're told that entrepreneurs have the highest suicide rate. Yes, one, they do not have support groups that count. Because I show up in a bar and I'm trying to talk to somebody about the problems I'm having in my business. The fellow is an employed messenger. What's this discussion?
You don't get it. Yeah,
that I'm having an issue with my head of procurement. And the person, seriously, just buy me another beer and we move on.
What are you saying?
You know,
I hear you.
You're trying to burden the wrong person with the right problem.
It's true.
And I think that separation needs to happen. Women, I think you're much better at it. It's a fact. With men, we have a serious problem with acknowledging that we need to separate our friends who we drink with, our friends who we go out with our families, and the people who you sit with to discuss business. And once that happens, then we'll most likely see businesses grow. But until then, the struggle will happen. Just to close off on that, I've got a startup I'm now working with, and they are software developers. But I've suddenly gone out and I've realized it's time they stop developing code. Their strength is in putting together partners to deliver on something. And I've identified for them a software solution that does 10 times better than what they can build. Now the question becomes, will they have the emotional strength to say coding is not our business? Because what we have seen over the last 2 years is that this is our strength. And we need more of those. Businesses have to get off life support, and we just need to plug out the life support system and just let them die. I think if we can bury humans, we shouldn't have a problem burying businesses.
Yeah. Wow, I think very great, pieces of wisdom, of sharing all around. And what I'm actually getting is self-awareness. A huge part of EQ or EI is self-awareness. Every single person here talks about self-awareness. I guess even in the learning, it is because you're aware that you do not know what you perhaps need to know. So you start listening in to see what you can glean. And part of emotional intelligence is also learning how to let go. It's also learning how to let go of outcomes, to stop trying to hold on to things because you separate yourself. Your ego, the ego person that rules us all, has to die at some point. I know. I think when Maria says she tells someone to leave the office, you think it's part of ego, but it's a deep reflection and understanding of this is the business. This is where it wants to go. I remember someone sharing when COVID happened, they had to sit down, do their matrix, and realize that 3/4 of the employees had to go. Now the question was, how do you do it in a humane way? That's the question, not that whether they're going, but how do you do it in a way that works? So just because I think we are coming to a point where we're supposed to be winding up, I will just ask one question of everyone. And to Mercy, what strategies have you employed to be able to develop at least resilience? Because I had you mention persistence. So how do you develop, what are those habits to see you, as you said, grow over a long time? You talked about patience in your daily work and routine and for those around you.
I think there are a few or several, and of course others have talked about some of them. And I think one of them is knowing yourself and believing in your abilities, and also becoming or being optimistic. Because there are times people tell you that you can't do that or that cannot be done. But if you believe that it can be done, then it can be done. For me, I own a school, but I don't have a background on education. And so what I had to do was to hire somebody who is good in education to make sure that all the procedures and processes and systems are in place. But for me now, I come in and I have these ideas on what I want my school to have. And some of them, they'll tell me, no, that cannot be done. And I say, no, there must be a way we can do this. And, you know, we try and find a way. And all of those things are finally being able to be done. And they would sit down and ask me, how did you know? And for me, it's not about, it's just believing in my abilities and believing in myself. And so since I cannot put it in the systems or procedures like an educationalist can, I have to use them to make sure that they can put it now in the systems and the procedure that needs to be done. So I think one of them, for a person to become resilient, is you have to believe in yourself and know your strengths, and of course, knowing your areas of strengths, and what the other side?
Challenges.
Challenges. The other one, of course, everybody has talked about it, is developing a strong social network. We all need it. We need it so badly, because now sometimes you come to a point where you don't know what to do. So you turn to your social network and say, okay, so here, I'm here, I need to meet someone who can arrange a meeting with that someone. So the social network helps you to do that. But with that, we also need to have to rest and recuperate. As you know, it's an emotional journey for entrepreneurs. So you need to find time and rest, because if your head is not in the right place and you go to work, you will not be able to make decisions that are positive for your business. So you need to know, I'm tired, I need to rest. And you rest. You need to know, I need to travel and clear my head, and then you clear your head. That's when you can then contribute positively to your business. And I think also you need to find a sense of purpose. Some of us, when you are here, you don't know exactly what we're doing. You know, I hear Robert talking about helping startups. For him, I am sure every time there's a new startup and it's challenging, you know, the emotions are running through his body. He has found his purpose. He has found why he's here. So all of us, we need to find why we are here. And once we know why we are here, if it's saving people, if it's developing, you know, networks, if it's whatever, driving cars, if it's singing, whatever it is that we need to be doing in this world, if we find it, and then we make it into money making, then we, you know, it's just a walking in the park.
I hear you about support groups. I'm sure Violette is saying amen to that.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Maria, what would you share? What would you share, Maria? I think you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah. You know, when I was a kid growing up, when I first got my first job after finishing high school, my grandmother said something to me, which has been my guiding principle all my life. My grandmother said to me that my granddaughter, in this world, whatever job you do, whatever work you do it with one heart. Whether you're a tea maker or a toilet cleaner or a sweeper or a manager, do it with one heart. It was one of the most defining statements that has been one of the guiding principles of my life. I do things, when I take on something, I develop a tunnel vision. And I'm laser focused on it until it's done. Number two, I'm not the kind of person that believes in failure. Failure does not exist in my vocabulary. Challenges do. Failure, no. If I can't skin a cat one way, I will find another way to skin it.
I hope it's not literal.
No, I'm pressing a cat.
I'm sorry for those who own cats.
I own a cat. Let's go skin a dog.
The other thing I've learned, it dawned on me, and my kids kept saying this to me for many, many years. But, you know, I suppose in a sense, it became a part of me. My kids always say to me, Mom, you're a workaholic. You need to stop and breathe. But I'd become so much of a workaholic that when, you know, we've all been talking about COVID. When COVID struck, I didn't know what to do with myself. I couldn't leave the house for literally, because we were on complete lockdown for 3 months. And the first 3 weeks was great. You know, I thought, okay, let me sleep. But then I thought, I can't do this. I need to do something. It was a time of reflection for me. I realized that the world, my business, my life, my kids, everything can go on without me. So what the hell have I been stressing about? So what I did, it's something that I'd started to do, but I hadn't realized that I was doing it, but I now rolled it out properly, is that I decided to have, and just not me, all of my staff, my entire team, work. Each person has 3-day workday. I have a 4-day workday, a 4-week workday. So I told my staff that unless it's a matter of life and death, and even then, I'm sure there's somebody here who can handle it. Fridays, I'm not working. If it's a matter of life and death, each of you know your roles, you will handle it. But I also learned that each of my staff, there's some of them who will come in on a Monday and Wednesday. Others will come in Tuesday. And, you know, so we've sort of worked out times so that every single one of my staff has time to devote to their families. The sustenance of a family is critical to success of your business. If your family is falling apart, if your children do not have any time with you, if you do not have time for your children, for your husband, for your wife, for your spouse, then your business will not really succeed. That balance is critical. The other thing I learned is to let go. So my staff do a lot of the work that I used to do. And they just bring it to me to check it out and sign. And so I really don't have to go to the office at all. It's just that I'm not the kind of person who can work from home. You know, no, it's not even just commerce. It's just a question of let people see that Maria is around at least. Otherwise, I've said to myself that in all my businesses, in my establishment, my job is to dream. Your job is to translate my dreams into reality. And that's where the roles are defined. And so my staff are able to do a lot. And I allow them to make mistakes. But I said one thing to them. If you make a mistake, own it. Don't make a mistake and point to somebody else that is somebody else, it was somebody else's fault. No. Your mistake is it is, you own that mistake and you correct it. And my staff have learned how to manage business so well that a lot of times they direct me in the best way, which direction we should go. And I listen to them because that's what I paid them for, to deliver. And if I don't listen to them, how will they deliver? And they have that freedom to make certain decisions. And I endorse those decisions. So those are the lessons I've learned.
Okay. Well, very, very key lessons there. Robert.
Yes.
I'm probably after Maria because you seem to have a tag team going on there.
Must be age proximity issues.
Hey, speak for yourself, Robert.
Robert.
I have
Seriously,
no problem.
Maria, now?
Well, this is public, so I will abandon you in your hour.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I'm sure we are all people of faith.
Yeah.
And it's normally said that it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a busy person.
You've changed it a little bit. You've like
Yes, because I think what it was the rich man is always pretends to be very busy. Mm-hmm. And more of it is because why that phrase I think was said is the rich man has a lot of baggage. He's carrying a lot of things that are not part of him or her. The camel carries a hump, but that hump is part of itself. So that hump is not a hindrance. And I think the true sense of resilience is the ability to say no. The true proof of resilience is the ability to stop doing what is not working. I used to work like crazy. Because of some historical issues in my life, there's a time I had this fear that things could get very bad again. And this is more again to my fellow men. Family is very important. And what happened is my firstborn, when he's about 4 or 5 years, he felt sick and he had to be in hospital. And so we agreed to alternate who stays in hospital with him. So my wife would stay with him during the day, then I'd go in the evening and spend the night with him. And I'd carry my laptop but all the time he would want to spend time, have more time with me. After about 3 days, I realized, what is this that can't continue to go on if I wasn't there? Mm. So the following day, I took the laptop home and I never came with the laptop again. And what it taught me was you need to retire every day. What you do is you live a 360 life every 24 hours. If you try to call me after 6 o'clock or anytime, if I get home at 4, if you try to call me, I'll not pick up my phone. I'll only have my phone with me if one of my children is not home or if my wife is not home. If all of us are home, then there is no reason why I need that phone. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a fire engine driver. If there's a fire somewhere, there's somebody responsible for fixing it. If somebody is dying, there's a doctor, somebody to deal with that. And so what I learned to do was to turn off my outside life when I get home. And this is from, I think it was the founder of one of the very, I think it was some tech company. And he was asked when he's going to retire. He says, no, I retire every day. And I asked him, what do you mean you retire every day? He says, you can't wait to get to 70, then you go to the beach and lie down.
You can't.
Maria couldn't survive a week. Yeah. Now, can you imagine us sending her to the shores of Lake Victoria and telling her now from today, till you die, do nothing, just sit here. So why not retire every day? Give yourself, say for 2 hours or for 3 hours every day, I retire. And what time is that? Is it early morning? You wake up, you take a book which has nothing to do with work. Could be a novel, could be anything, science fiction. And every day you read for an hour or 2 hours. And that's your retirement time. And that's what resilience is about. It's saying, I can only do so much, I can only carry so much, and that is all I will carry. And once you do that, then you find, like Maria was saying, like Violette was saying, is that your responsibility now becomes to dream for the business, to see the business 20 years down the road. One thing that wasn't in my introduction is, okay, fine. All my coaching and the rest does not pay the bills. What pays the bill is I build data centers. And it can be a very traumatizing activity when we need to do some, especially when we're refreshing a company. But I've got a team of technicians who, some years back, I always used to carry in my pocket an electrical tester. And one day I walked to site and one of them picked it out of my pocket and told me to walk out. I said, what do you mean? He says, every time you come to site, you disrupt us. So I said, so you don't want me to come? He said, yeah, don't come. We'll tell you when to come. It was painful initially. And I thought, what's with this young man thinking he knows better than I own the business? But it had been said, and the question was, how do I react to this? So I walked out. And I walked out and I refused to come. They called me on the Monday. I think we were doing a weekend job. They called me on Monday to pass, but I said, I'm not coming. I was annoyed. I'm not coming. You guys hand over to the client. And they did it. So Monday ends. I'm waiting for the client to call, doesn't call. Tuesday, client doesn't call. Wednesday, the client doesn't call. And I'm thinking, what's going on? So Thursday, I leave and I go to see the client. Because I'm sure either we did such a horrible job that the client doesn't even want to hear of us at all. So I walk over and I say hi to the client and I say, so how are things? How's everything? He says, no, your guys did a brilliant job. They finished. We were up and running. Yeah, you've got a very good team. I'm thinking, I've just been declared redundant.
I think that's dreadful.
And suddenly we could do jobs in Uganda, we could do jobs in Kisumu, we could do jobs. Why? Because it was not dependent on me showing up. Because before I would try and make sure I do things that mesh with the family. Are the kids having a sports day? Are the kids, is there a wedding? Is there, and now I didn't need to. The business, when business is found, we want people to do the work. And that is what resilience is about. And I think what we need to realize is it's not what level of load you can carry. It's what level of load you can hand over and not helicopter over it. Now, if you can get people to find the client, design the solution, implement the solution, and hand over the completed solution to client without you having to be present, then not only are you resilient, but your business too has become resilient. And that is where most of us have a problem.
Wow. I like that. That is
powerful, Robert.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Wow. God, I think we should close it now. But when you felt being a business owner, when you're declared redundant, you didn't feel kidogo bit shaky?
I shook to my toes. But then I went home and my daughter sorted out the issues. So yes.
I want to.
Just one question. There's just one question on the chat that I need to respond to. There's just somebody who said somebody called Sumar who said that giving my staff 3-day work week is working with the heart. No, that is actually working with my head, because the 2 days that each of my staff get off, I've realized that they work so much harder when they come to work. And I'll just give one small example. We recently had some business that on which we had to meet a deadline, and in those last 2 weeks, even those who and it had nothing to do with me. In fact, I was hardly at the office, but regardless of the fact that they have 2 days off during the week, all of them were there, all hands on deck, And we, you know, they worked right through. And then once we had submitted to the client, they took their time off. I had no problem. Yeah,
Okay.
that is working with your head, not your heart.
With your head, yeah.
Yes.
I know Violette has something she wants to say. Violette.
Oh, yeah. I just want to tell, you know, running my business has also come with a lot of learning also how to run a business. And just like my fellow panelists have alluded to. And I just want to share that there's something that makes a business happen. And that is when you have good relationships, there's something we call ROR. And I've shared this a lot with my team. You get ROI, return on investments. The other thing is that we all have fear of falling. The minute we start doing something, we go to the wrong people to give us advice. Unajua kama hii itafanya kazi. Of course, they're going to tell you, mimi niliona wale wengine walifanya na hii kufanya kazi. So the other thing that we have is the fear of investments. FOF, fear of falling, and fear of investments, FOI. I like to use these little acronyms because they keep me going. Then also that trust takes time. When you're doing business, you also have to be a little bit patient. And it's not going to work in the first day. It's not going to work in the second day. And you have to keep on reinventing yourself. And like I said earlier on, you need to continue having those conversations with people who will help you. And I'll shock almost all of you. Mentorship, even for people who are in business, is so integral. You still also need, there's a lot of peer mentorship. You need to go and talk to people. And what is so profound is that a lot of people don't realize that the people you ask to mentor you are so willing to help you, but you have to ask. I can't overemphasize this. You have to ask. You also have to develop your little mantras and your little selling. You know, you're a walking brand, like we say, because as people, we create brands and put color to them and give them some 3D and give it some life. So you have to also work on your value propositions as an individual and also pass it on. One of my biggest achievements since I started Terracotta Moon was that this year in February, I promoted one of my team members to a general manager. That's Sheila. It was the most profound thing that I ever did, because now I could literally retire every day. And she has done a fantastic job. She has done a fantastic job. The team has backed her up. She's young, she's got energy. And that's the other thing. You have to learn how to hand over your business also, so that you don't die with it, like they're saying here. You don't want our businesses to die because we died. So a business continuity plan is also very important. And part of it is ensuring that you pass over the mantle. And these little figures that work with everything. You know, 5-year plan. It starts making sense when you have a lot of work experience. What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10,000 hours? By the time Terracotta Moon was hitting 10 years of working, of being in business, somehow, I keep telling people, I've kept my doors open. I don't know how, but it's people. You can't grow without people. So you need people. So talk to the right people. People. Watu. Customer. Referrals. Call your customer and tell them, please introduce me to somebody who can give me business. If I did you well, please introduce me to somebody who will. Keep asking. We are very shy of asking. Keep knocking on people's doors. When you're doing that retirement of yours every day, it is, for a lot of us, it's your time to reflect and think, and you get a lot of your aha moments. But if you're so buried in the nitty-gritties of everyday work, your business is not a place for you to try and tengeneza pesa peke yako, ukule peke yako. Forget it. Your business is there. Your business, you can't eat alone. That's what I keep telling my guys. You can't eat alone. We have to look for big business, fill that pipe so that everybody is happy. And then we all sit back and say, I did that. We did that. Teamwork. Embrace it. I'm telling you, success will be yours.
Great.
I hope,
we have Madame Zuhura, who was part of the co-host. Zuhura, what will you say before we at least say goodbye to our esteemed panelists and our viewers today? I'll give everyone a chance to say one last sentence And I say sentence.
Okay. Vicky, for me, I'm just riding on the energy of the audience because what we are getting, we are speaking to East Africa, Uganda, Tanzania, but also we have people from Germany who have joined. It is the passion that I'm getting from the chat box where people are saying this has been the most authentic and humorous webinar.
Yeah.
They have seen the honest and the sincerity of the panelists. They have also enjoyed a lot about the panelists being very open about the difficult moments that they have had. They have seen that kind of natural, organic, conversation that is going on. I started seeing this when we were preparing this webinar because the dry run had a lot of laughter, and I see that we have expressed that. But I think also the webinars that we have had, this is the webinar which has had the most punchlines. And those punchlines, I'll never forget them. I'm sure some of the audience are saying like, prepare 2 graves where you can bury the body and you can bury the business. They're talking about injection of resilience. They're talking about going to business with your head, not your heart. I'm not your mother here, I'm going to do business. And old school, new school, fundamentals of the business is the same. So it has been really an enlightening moment for us as audience. I've been listening very passionately and I have enjoyed, and I'm sure our audience has done the same. But what is very interesting, it is that disease of most businesses in Africa where they die with the founder. And Robert has alluded that very, very clearly. Maria has come in and say, don't think about your business with your own limitation of your longevity. Think beyond that. And businesses surviving us, not actually us surviving the business. Punchline about retiring every day. Punchline about, you are not a doctor, you're not a fireman. Put off that your telephone. Mercy has come up with taking care of yourself, having moment to relax. So you have a lot of this coming from passionate entrepreneurs who are operating in East Africa that unplugging the suicide rates that Robert is talking about, the importance of having network, social network, relational capital. All these have been woven into one webinar, which is quite an exciting, Vicky. I've been enjoying very much.
Yeah. Wow, you summarized it so well. I must say, this has been a webinar I personally have really, really, really enjoyed. I've never laughed so much, and I've never felt so much. People rarely, and maybe I don't know whether it's a trait of entrepreneurs. People are willing to share even beyond, over and above, and leave poise at the door. I think poise was left at the door, and we checked into the webinar. And it's been very incredible. And I think I've benefited the most. Zuhura may have benefited the most from this particular webinar. I should be paying the panelists. So
we are sending keynotes.
For one thing, I'm going back to my business and now removing my head and taking my heart back to the heart. And so many other things I have really, really enjoyed. And I hope our audience has also enjoyed as much as we have. I'm actually thinking we're going to do very many snippets of this. We'll share with you and share with our wider audience. I think there's so much wisdom that just needs to be out there. And just to help people understand this journey as we talk about it. For me, I've never even actually had resilience defined the way that Robert defined it. I think it's definitely spot on. I haven't had like the way Maria said, you have to use your head, and actually she turned it around and said, making people work this many times a week is actually using your head. Because I also noticed when COVID came, we worked harder than we'd ever worked, and yet we had more free time than any other time. So it's actually using your head. And a lot of the times we get clouded by so many other things because we're thinking with our reptilian brain, our emotions. Mercy talked about being the dreamer. Being the dreamer. I'm the dreamer. Let me dream. And then other people will be able to carry it out. And Violette put it very nicely when she said, if you're involved in the nitty-gritties of everything, every single thing, pesa is for everyone. Money is for everyone, not for you. Business is there, I think. Yeah, that's why businesses exist. It's for the greater good of the community, not the greater good of us. But as we wind down, I think we've had so much fun. Time has run and run and run. We even forgot it was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I just want to ask each one of you, starting with, I'll just, as you appear on my screen, starting with Maria, just one last word as we close down.
Unmute. Problem
Old
being at
school.
home without your PA.
Yes. Robert, there's a price to pay for
Maria, you're only allowed one sentence. Eh? Don't waste it.
That was it. No, I want to thank Zoo. I said yesterday, I don't talk much. I decided a long time ago to focus on doing rather than talking. Zoo sort of bullied me into participating in this webinar. And I've enjoyed it immensely. Thank you, Zoo. It's something I will not do often, but I will do once in a rare while. But it's been good. I've read a lot of the comments. I'm glad that I have been able to share some of the important aspects of entrepreneurship with others. For me, that's very important. And I'll just say to you that my kids are actually participating in this webinar because most of them want to. Oh, you do? Yes, yes. And Robert, Andrea is in Strathmore. Oh. So I will make sure when she does come back that you're in touch with her so that you can panel beat her.
Tell her to make sure she passes by the IBIS Student Center, 5th floor.
You bet you will.
And bring the pie. Make sure she brings the pie for Robert.
Yes. But thank you very much, Vicky. It was a pleasure. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Robert, any last words?
We need to stop starting businesses of subsistence. We need to start growing businesses for, what's the word? I'm trying to remember what the word is, for perpetuity, for longest. And the only way you can do that is if you're solving a problem that the person with the problem wants solved and is willing to pay for it.
Yeah, great words there. Thank you, Robert. Violet?
Wow, thank you so much. It's been I've enjoyed my Friday evening. This is probably one of the best TGIFs I've had. Thank God it's Friday. I like to laugh a lot. It's and music keeps me going as well. And there's a lot of power in lyrics also. It brings about my creative juices. So I'd really like to thank all the panelists and Profiles and Vicky for putting us together, and Zuhura. Always, the other day we were calling you, I had you being called Zuzu. I really liked it. And I said, I hope everyone will start calling me Vivi, So it's been wonderful. And one of the things that I will say is for Profiles, these webinar series have also helped us a lot, even as a business, even my business. We tune in, of course, we are always in the back burner ensuring that everything is going well, but I can't tell you how this has helped me grow and also temper my emotions with all the skills and tools that you have given us through these webinars by Profiles. So I'm just so happy that this time around I was at the front, and it's just been a wonderful, very authentic, and I've looked at the comments, and thank you so much everybody for listening in to us and hearing that, things are not easy, but if you ask for help, people are always willing to. People are more good than they are bad. That's one thing I'm going to tell you if you want to get into business. And there's no shortcut. And in as much as we think that the digitization has made things move faster, the process of doing anything is always going to be like it's always been, whether it's old school, new school, relationships are still the same. You have to get people to trust you, like you, then they'll buy from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much, Violet. And finally, but not least, Mercy.
I would also like to thank Zu, who also, when she told me about this, I was like, oh, okay. Do you think I have something to share? And she said, yes, you do. And it has been an enjoyable session. I've laughed a lot, and I've met some new colleagues, Vicky, Maria, Robert, Violet, and I hope that whatever we've discussed here, people, have helped people in their journey. And I think my last words would be, people need to embrace change. As we live, change are inevitable. And some people, they don't function when change happens in their plates. And I think we need to walk while thinking that change can happen at any time, any kind of change. And once it's in our midst, we just need to embrace it and look the other way. There's always a door open, there's always a solution. So we need to think in terms of solutions that are hanging somewhere. Thanks everybody for being here, for listening, and we hope that we've made some good contributions into your entrepreneurial journeys.
Thank you very much, Mercy. I'll ask Zu also to give maybe 1 or 2 words, being an entrepreneur herself.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I think, Vicky, it's, are we coming to the end where I have to give my thanks?
Yes.
Now, East Africa will know me by the pet name which Maria has given me, Zu. Everybody calls me Zu.
Yeah, I call you Zu.
Yes, I'm Auntie Zu. I'm Mama Zu. Everyone calls me that way. Even Mercy calls me Zu. So it is a very interesting name. Actually, I have enjoyed a lot. I'm in business. I know Robert has taken us through resilience, which is not only personal resilience, cultivating resilience for oneself and also cultivating resilience for our businesses to survive us. And I would like to thank Robert for your insightful coaching. Actually, you are doing coaching, and that is very appreciated. I wish I could send also my children to you. Maria is lucky because the child is already in Strasbourg. So she should actually look for Robert for panel beating so that she can continue the dream of the mother that has started. Secondly, I would like to thank Violet, who have worked together, but I had not had you in the front line like today. You have really given us a lot of punchline and incentive to really continue with our businesses. I've also had Maria Odido. Maria Odido, I've even assigned some coaches from Tanzania away from me to her because I know she can coach them better than myself. And when Maria talks, that seriousness, which has a lot of humor, really hits me. And I wonder why she doesn't like to talk much. Because she has a lot she can share. And I really like the analogy of what you wear and how people take you serious. Maria, there was a question which was asked, and it fell through the crack, whether the feminine can help any businesswoman. I'm sure that is a story of another day, which we'll be able to take. There was a question for Robert. Robert, what kind of indicators can people see and know that they have to put their business to rest? So I think it is a question for another day. So it is very interesting. Mercy, really, you came in with a lot of experience, and I really like the way you have accentuated and eluded what you have gone through as an entrepreneur. And all of us, what I want to say, this is a great panel. It is a panel which is not using academic book or theoretical framework, but real experience that you have gained through your journey as leaders. My partner was also part of this audience, Focus Lutino. I recognize you for really supporting us. I have a son living in Germany called Kasim. He's working with Audi engineer, creating cars for very high market in the world. Also, thank you very much for participating. So you can see, Maria, even my son was also part of this particular, particular conversation. So I thank you all for being part of this. And this is the movement which is going to continue. Next week, we are going to organize a webinar which is going to look at women in traditionally male-dominated sectors. And it will be a very interesting webinar. I'm looking forward to have it. So Lindam and Profile International, we are working together to make sure that East Africa is conversing, which is a very important conversation around this region. Vicky, over to you. And thank you very much for great moderation, Vicky. You laughed so much, but it's nice to see, to see a moderator also participating in the laughter. Vicky and I, we have what we call Sakina, finding peace in one another. So it is a great conversation. Thank you very much, East Africa. Bye-bye.
What can I do but to say thank you very much? Laughter is the best medicine. I have really enjoyed I think, did I do any moderation? I think these guys moderated and I kind of
Exactly. They moderated themselves.
Having a conversation. Yeah.
They continued the conversation, and I can't thank you enough. So I am going to wish you all a lovely evening, TGIF, as Violette said. And as you continue on this journey, I also wish you Sakina. I learned about Sakina from Zuhura. That piece, I think call it, that surpasses all understanding. And I think it comes from sometimes just knowing that of these things that we hold on to, none of them is yours. That grave Robert was talking about, you'll be in there alone. Even those clothes you wear will not be of yours. So let go and let live. Take care, everyone, and God bless you. And thank you so much for being part of this. And see you at the next webinar, which will mail out to everyone. Thank you and bye. God bless you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.